but we'll just zoom into a company. We'll look for Bay Area Systems. And most of the time you can zoom in also by double-clicking on a line. Again, you see the toolbar has now had various things disabled. Functions that you can't use are shadowed. Functions that you can use are still bold. Most of the panels have more information than will fit on a single panel. So we have what are called tab dialogues that you can move in between. Then where additional information is available, a prompt list, you can click on the prompt and get a list of options for a field. You'll notice here there's no prompt list enabled, there's no button. That's because there's been no limitation set up for the territory field. If you hit F3, which is the prompt fast function key, it'll tell you that there's no table set up for this, and a sysop could set up a table if you wanted to limit the number of things that could be put into the territory field. Then any particular field that you have, this field has been shadowed, which means that the users are not allowed to get to it. A field can have three states. It can be editable, it can be shadowed, which means it's view only, or the field can be set that the user can't see it. So certain users may not be allowed to see certain fields. Costs usually is one of them, margin is another one. So they can be set to be non-viewable. In this case, the credit limit is set that the current user can't access that field because they're not authorized to change the credit limits on a customer. Additionally, you can look at any field and you can see the field help, and you get to that by right-clicking in the field. And this gives you an explanation of what the field does. Again, you can have house or company specific information. When you right-click, you can also look at data change history. Data change history tells you what prior values of this field were, when they were changed, and who changed them. So if you wanted to see if there were any prior changes to risk level for this customer, you could go into the change history. Additionally, if you're a system operator, you can edit the field label and change it to something else. You can set a different default, the mask, and the security. If you're not a system operator, these last four fields don't appear. Every panel will have this funny little box up here, which is called additional record information. And what that does is just tell you a little more about the record, when it was entered, who entered it, the time, when it's last been revised, who revised it, at what time, and what the internal record number is. Instead of adding all these fields to every screen, we just have this little custom icon that has that available information. So that's our panel. We can move between different dialogues that all have more information. This is an example of user fields. These are fields that Stream does not use itself, but are available for use on a site-by-site basis, and they can be named. So for example, here you could have a field. We'll take this one and we'll change the field label to call it relation to owner. So we can say This company here, their relationship to the owner of our company is it's their brother. So any additional information you want to store, you can store in these fields and you can name them. In the case of the customer, we've got ship tos. A different training session will go over the customer records and such in detail. But you can see that that's how you get through the information is with the tab dialogues. So that concludes the first 50 minutes of it. I'd like to open the last 10 minutes to questions or anything that anybody would like me to specifically address in this session.
You mentioned about queries. Is that something we're going to cover later on, or?
Yes, there'll be a whole separate session just on queries.
Oh, okay.
They're very powerful and useful, but they're used by a fairly small percentage of the population, and everybody else will fall asleep if they're not interested in it.
Okay. Another question I had was on printers. Are we able to print to web-based printers or what we call soft printers? Like
we print through the Windows print mechanism. So wherever you can point a Windows printer to, we can print to.
Okay, very good.
So you can print to PDFs. You can print to fax servers. You can print anywhere you can route.
As long as you have a print driver, basically.
Yeah, as long as there's a Windows print driver for it. Okay. Well, if we don't have any other questions, we'll conclude this. And if there's anything you'd like me specifically to address that we missed today, as sort of a general overview, send me an email and I will cover that when we start tomorrow looking at some of the important tables in the system, customers, catalogs, ship tos, inventory, this type of stuff. Otherwise, thank you for joining, and I will talk to you guys another day.